Thanks for your company. The details now. Government has suspended the concession agreement with the power distribution services, bringing back the Electricity Company of Ghana to be in full control of power distribution, at least for now. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, who broke the news on PM Express, said the decision was taken after government detected fundamental and material breaches of PDS obligation in the provision of payment securities, that's demand guarantees for the transaction, which have been discovered upon further due diligence. He spoke to Evans Mensah.
We have detected some anomalies specific to the guarantees that were issued by the consortium of PDS. Okay. And our first obligation is to secure the assets, particularly the cash assets, etc. Okay. And suspend.
Let's break this down, because you say guarantees. People are listening and watching. What it means is that they came and said, we have guarantees to provide the monies and investments. Correct?
Yes.
To bring also, to deal with the sector.
Yes, and also the assets that we were handing over to them and the risk that was involved. They provided some guarantees for that through a number of insurance companies. We have, through due diligence, detected that there are issues with those guarantees that were provided.
So as in what? They were not available?
Well, they were not.
They misled us.
They were not valid.
That's misleading.
Well, it is being investigated currently, so I won't proceed to call it so. They were not valid, and as a result, we have taken a fair step to secure the assets of the state by suspending the concession agreement and ensuring that the assets are secured. The Energy Commission has also quickly moved to revoke their distribution license and allow ECG to literally go back to work and perform on that side while we go into a full-scale inquiry into the validity of
so as we speak tonight, ECG is back in control of the whole sector.
Of the distribution sector. PDS is suspended. That's the statement we just issued.
Okay, but you missed the... How do we miss that? You said we now
there are conditions precedent, then there's due diligence, even before.
The due diligence is what
led to this. Alerted us.
But why didn't you do that before?
Because there are conditions precedent and then there are conditions subsequent. Okay. So in the beginning, there are a number of things, and also because of the deadline that we had at the time, there are a number of things that they were supposed to meet, which they did, and then it goes through a due diligence phase. It is this due diligence that has alerted us to the fact that the validity of some of the guarantees are in question, and we've moved therefore to suspend it pending a full-scale inquiry.
Okay.
Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah breaking the news on PM Express last night. Well, an economist with the Institute of Fiscal Studies, Edu Owusu-Sarkodie, says government must properly investigate the abnormalities which led to the suspension of the contract.
Because if you look at the cost that government would have incurred if he had continued, then that would have been a bigger problem than this. Again, it raises questions about due diligence. Yesterday, the Minister of Information talked about due diligence, that they suspend this PDS agreement because they have exercised due diligence. But the question is, why didn't you exercise due diligence at the time of the signing of the contract? So I think going forward, and these are some of the things that we have been seeing in the energy sector. It looks like the energy sector, there's something going on that we all don't know, because already there is an arrears of 14 billion Ghana cedis which can finance free SHS for the next 10 years. And so we should be very diligent in signing contracts. Yesterday, or Monday, the Minister of Finance said we had already gone into agreement to sign certain contracts for the provision of electricity that we do not need. Just 2 days after that, we have PDS contracts being suspended because of some detected anomalies. Why, as a country, would we just get up and go and sign contracts without exercising due diligence, without opening our eyes, without knowing where it will lead us, before we come and sit down and go back to the drawing table, revise the notes and say, oh, wait a minute, it looks like we signed a wrong contract. And so the energy sector, the contracts going on, somebody somewhere is taking his percentage and enriching himself at the expense of the whole nation. And we cannot continue to do that. You mentioned that we must get to the bottom of the matter. Whatever we have to do, I think that somebody must be arrested. I think that
who is that person?
Whoever we catch.
That someone or some persons within the energy ministry misled the country with this PDS contract.
You can say that because what is anomaly? Anomaly is you tell me A and I go to find out it's B. That's anomaly. So somebody wasn't truthful with us. So let the investigations go on. When we come to the conclusion of the matter, let's prosecute.
So there have been a lot of reactions to this latest move by government in the energy sector. Remember that on Monday, while presenting the mid-year budget review, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta did mention that the energy sector is in a critical state and a lot of attention must be given it. And then the next day we hear this. But here's what Energy Minister John Peter Amewo had to say about the situation when he spoke to Kojo Yankson earlier on the AM show.
Fraud in the execution of the payment security simply means that the payment security tender was not conclusive and was not in accordance with the requirements and the specification that was required, and that it was not authenticated by the sources that were supposed to execute that agreement. The payment security that they provided and that alleged coming from the source execute the agreement, now denying that they have never executed such payment security.
Oh, all right. So that is fraud. So basically, you suspect that PDS lied to the government of Ghana to get this contract?
Well, that evidence will come up. Yeah, I've made mention earlier on that the timing of the agreement was very key, and the date of execution of the agreement was one of the conditions for exercising the agreement. And so to make sure that the agreement takes effect, of course, MIDA, as the investing body or the investor, has a responsibility to make sure the agreement is executed. So whatever it takes them to make sure the agreement takes effect from the date that was stipulated. I think that was exactly what MIDA.
So what you're saying is that in order to stick to the timelines, government of Ghana agreed that we would sign a contract with a concessionaire that was yet to prove its securities to us. We agreed to do that just to meet a deadline?
No, don't forget, please. I stated earlier on that there were due diligence processes ongoing as the agreement is being executed. I mean, as we speak now, because there are still processes to be completed, ECG on its own as the owner of assets has a responsibility to continue doing those processes. So it is not a result of the timeline talk that doesn't trigger it. It is a process of ongoing engagement, which of course mandates the owner of the asset to do anything that claims its right to authenticate the validity of what document was submitted.
I'd like to hear what you think about this. Do share your thoughts with us on Facebook. We are JoyNews on TV, Twitter as well. You can tweet at us and let us know what you think of this current situation. But we'll be keeping our eyes and hopefully get more reactions for you, especially from the workers who had reservations earlier with this whole arrangement.